Back to the broadcast, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, the Secretary General of Jubilee Party. And Mheshimiwa, before we even get to, unpack the Kioni ruling that speaks to the question of integrity, Kenyans want to know, or I want to know, whether then I have the legal, moral, political authority and standing to declare you the Secretary General of Jubilee Party. Why I'm asking this is that you mentioned the Hansard, and it got me going to the Hansard to check on the likes of Honorable Sabina Chege to see whether they still continue to hold their offices as Jubilee Party candidates, or perhaps Jubilee Party, members of Parliament. And true to it, the Hansard speaks of Sabina Chege as the Jubilee Party representative of Muranga. What do you make of this? Could you confidently look at the people of Kenya today and tell them that perhaps we no longer have the battles and squabbles within the Jubilee Party, and that perhaps this conversation of factionalism is neither here or there?
The court pronounced itself in the month of September last year.
Mm-hmm.
And put the matter to rest.
Mm-hmm. Just how restful is it when we still have members of Parliament?
It is again the issue of integrity.
Right.
If the Speaker of the National Assembly would continue recognizing individuals who have been declared otherwise by the courts, there again goes to the question of the character of the persons holding those offices.
Right.
If you are as a member of Parliament would want to continue lying to Kenyans, stating issues that are no longer factual and were never factual even in the first place. Okay. Again, an issue of integrity. And those are the issues that should come when you are being considered for any other office going forward.
What would have been the noble approach to this?
Let me tell you, I mean, once a court judgment has come out,
okay, step down as
the sensible thing is for you to be conscious of that order and do as directed by the court. Outside that, you become contentious of court. But until somebody goes to court, you can continue,
Have you gone to court?
Would you
as a Jubilee?
Would you want to spend all your time running after people who are of dubious character?
Okay.
I would rather that the time will come when that will be put before any panel that would want to consider whichever individual you want to bring on board, and question the character of that, the integrity of that person as provided for under article, under chapter 6. And that's what Kioni is saying. There is a major misconception that a person is said to lack integrity only when he or she is convicted or thought of, all that. He is saying this issue of thinking that the fact that you are not convicted, you now become a person of integrity. Those are issues that you cannot, they cannot continue being washed under the carpet anymore in this country. And for as long as we remain blind to that side of the divide or that side of the provisions of our constitution, then we will continue having the kind of governance structure that outcome or systems that we have. And Wetangula is not a person, or the Speaker of the National Assembly is not, go down in history as a person who has a lot of respect for court orders, and especially since he became the Speaker of the National Assembly. Remember, even as we engage on this debate, the courts again have gone forward to say that the position of the majority leader on the floor, it's not any other than the person who is in Azimio.
Right.
But he is still trying to go around, and he has no order, he has not obeyed the court order. Again, those are issues that now talk about the integrity of the person.
Before we even point fingers further.
I'm just trying to tell you that a time will come when these things will now follow you as an individual.
Okay.
For now, you can hide under the cover on an office or a system that is not careful about the provision of our constitution. But a time will come when you, as an individual, may want to seek, like they are now looking to become officials of IEBC.
Okay.
And that you'll be faced with all those facts. But again, it is also a question of who are those who are asking you those questions. Okay. Are they themselves in a position to stand for what our constitution stands for, or are they also compromised? So,
with this kind of knowledge, Mheshimiwa, as the Secretary General of Jubilee Party, would you think you have done justice by letting this slide, acknowledging what the constitution dictates, and your
we've done what we should have done, gone to court and proven what is right and what is wrong.
Right.
A judgment is out there for people to read. If you do not lead, again, you cannot hold me responsible.
But what do you mean when you say you would rather let it go until when it's time?
For your inability to look at the court judgment. It's available to be used against those who don't think it makes any sense when time comes. And I can tell you that some of these things, and like now, for example, if you have confidence with the panel picking, not just IEBC, but any other group of people who would want to serve in any public office, if you have confidence in that panel, then you can go with the facts and table it. It used to happen during the first term of Uhuru. Yeah. It happened within a short while when Kibaki was in power after our 2010 constitution. People would go with facts before any panel or any appointing authority. And respect would be paid to those provisions. And until we are able to live up to those provisions of our constitution, as a country, with this kind of breakdown that you are seeing in our system, we'll be there.
All right.
I mean, look at how is it that we ended up with Mwaura having been appointed as the chairman of Kenya Revenue Authority? It's actually that judgment. Konyo has gone out of his way to bring out these issues in that judgment. And he's saying it's really an interesting thing that somebody who was facing charges in court, or even a nature that related to the office that he was being appointed to, would have even been considered for that position in the first place. And I'm encouraging Kenyans to look up the judgment by Gikonyo.
Just
it
how much?
E009 of 2023.
And that is
very
in order.
interesting
We have
judgment.
very many interesting judgments.
And I tell you, it clearly brings out. And now that you have brought up this issue, if one pays attention to this judgment, it actually then puts a very big question mark of those people who are allowed to run for offices while they are facing charges under the cover that innocent until proven guilty, which is Article 50, I think, 2A. And he is clearly saying that's not the case. That's not the way. The issue of integrity must be looked at differently from the possibility of your being convicted or otherwise.
How often will judgments set precedents? I know now, of course, in future judgments or perhaps to future judgments. And I know we have occurrences where we have used, previous judgments to guide us. Kioko Kilukumi would want to talk about this as form of judgments that we have witnessed before. But how often will this be allowed? And especially when we have such, standings of law as to what you say, innocent until you're proven guilty, holding ground still.
A young man from, I think, Nyandarua, called Josiah Mwangi Kariuki, most likely an offspring of the JM Kariuki, sent me a text earlier on in the evening. And he said, we are now tired of politicians. We want leaders, people who can help us turn this country as quickly as we can, because we have no time to waste. This kind of oversights or anomalies, disregard of provisions of the Constitution, rulings that have been made by the court, including the Supreme Court, will continue for as long as Kenyans themselves also decide to bring on board individuals of integrity. And I really liked that young man who said, we want leaders, not politicians anymore, leaders, not politicians anymore. And I will be very happy to engage him. So it is not going to be for too long. We have a generation that is impatient with people who have disregard of the Constitution, and also people who give, just talk to these issues. And again, go back to, because this, by the way, it's my son, who is also in the 20s, who also pointed out this judgment to me, said, you've been struggling in some of these issues. Honorable Justice Gikonyo seems to have addressed some of the issues, and I looked at it the course of the day, and I would want to encourage many people to look at it, and especially lawyers, because it also goes to, I think it also addresses an issue that is going to be a thorny issue in the coming days, and an issue that perhaps you allow me to mention, because as a Secretary General to Jubilee Party, it's important that we advise any governor who may be a governor on our ticket, for heaven's sake,
be keen on.
Be careful. The worst that you can allow to happen to you is to be impeached.
What does the ruling talk about?
Gikonyo clearly says or implies, and I want to use my words now, impeachment is for life.
Okay. So once you've
unless
politically
overturned by the court. Once impeached,
politically you do not.
You are done politically. And not just politically. You cannot hold any public office, including being a Secretary General of a party. Because that's a public office. So try everything possible never to be impeached.
Okay.
You are given maximum trust by Kenyans. They gave you all the trust to handle their billions of shillings at the county or at the national level. When you mess it, they give you maximum sentence.
Let's talk about the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua now that you bring that on board. Let's talk about the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
No, I didn't want to talk about an individual because then it becomes very subjective. Not individualizing the process,
but then looking at Jubilee Party and the connections that we get to see and the friendly interactions that we get to see as it stands right now. Why would you want to interact with a person who probably will... What do they bring on the table? Numbers?
Let me tell you. I have a list of...
Seems like you want us to belabor on this one.
No, I don't want. I don't want.
Right?
You are the one asking.
Okay.
This is just a file I had. This is a record of members of Jubilee Party.
Okay.
From the ORPP.
Okay.
And the number down there, if you look at it, is at 7,110,025.
Across the country.
Okay. Across the country. And we have the breakdown in every county of those who are our members. Jubilee Party is available to all who want to become members. Okay.
And therefore it is
the responsibility that you want given to you thereafter that calls for scrutiny and vetting.
Okay.
We want to represent Kenyans. And when you have now been given that responsibility, you will present everybody. So being a member of Jubilee Party, it doesn't matter whether you're impeached or not.
And you're open to that.
You're potential person who, X, Y, Z. The thing is that you are a Kenyan, you are registered to vote, and you have an ID and all that. That's all that is required for you to become a member of a party.
Well articulated.
And you like what that party stands for, and that is why we have 7,110,025 members as of yesterday.
All right. Yes. And of course, the penetration in the country, you would say, is friendly enough to accord you the numbers that you require now that you have officially declared.
We have all the 47. All the 47. There is
47 counties.
There is no single county
that is not represented.
That we do not.
And that we would have expected because this was the ruling party, and of course a party that comprised of other parties merged therein.
This is a 10-year thing.
Okay.
So, and I want to challenge any other party that has a bigger registration number than this to come forward.
Okay, interesting. So, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, and that declaration that largely comes from you, and we probably as a country have not had much from him. What got into the process, or what was the process of actually picking him as a preferred candidate, presidential candidate?
There are many others. There are many others who have also declared
within the party,
who have been interested, who have been declared
within the party,
interested people within their own parties. But you will understand that people show interest in various positions. Okay. But it's not until much later in the process that then the party exercises that decision through organs. Okay. And it starts as a person shows interest, and as a party then you market that person or those people across the board. And when the time comes, then the party will exercise its decision through the organs that are provided for in the Constitution.
How open was this process for Jubilee?
It is. Matiang'i just expressed a desire.
And it was only Matiang'i. Are there others who
expressed? If you now want to be, we have 7 million. Out of the 7 million, anybody who wants to express desire...
Oh, it's still open?
It's still open. And even after that, after we've done with all this that we are doing, and we will sell all of them, whoever it is the work of the party to market its candidate across the country. Okay. And that is what those who show interest, because any party, and a party of the size of Jubilee, it is really not in the best interest of the party to be running around without a presidential candidate. Right. Because when you have so many people, is that they are interested in the management of the country, and it's only fair that you allow them that chance. So if we get other individuals who are interested in learning, and I'm also interested in others, there are those I am telling, why are you not even throwing your your weight in here? Useful to this country.
Why are you not yourself?
Because I'm the one interesting people now.
Okay, yes, as the SG.
As the SG. And after that, then of course we also are not saying that the fact that he is a Jubilee candidate, he is the automatic candidate for the whole country.
Okay.
We'll have to see a coalition of those in the opposition so that we are able to deal with this disaster that is with us now. In the name of UDA, ODM, broad-based government. It's a real disaster for this country. If you don't believe it, look at what happened yesterday. We do not want those kind of chaotic scenes. It means that we are really at the blink of something. When you see heckling Naivasha, heckling Nairobi, heckling Nyeri, all these issues they are not good. We want people who can help us, people who Kenyans can believe in, to come and help us. And so far, we've talked about Matiang'i, who is
the one who reached out to the party and said that yes,
and he will be talking about it himself in the show in the coming days.
Okay.
We are not going to wait for too long. When he thinks it's right for it to happen, one of the things that he has told me, and I respect him for that, is that it cannot be politics forever.
Right.
It's good to allow ourselves time so that those who in power have an opportunity to deliver something.
Yes.
Even if we are going to remove them because Kenyans themselves have decided. This is no longer a debate. Wakenya wenyewe wameamua.
Okay.
And there is nothing new to go and telling them ati amefanya, wasijafanya, wameamua, and that is almost a done chapter.
Okay.
957 days, 58 days actually, to date. They've been in office. You can see what they have done, what they have not done, and it's upon you to decide whether there is any hope. Many are those who have said there is no hope, and they are looking for that alternative. And Matiang'i, to me, comes across as an alternative. But he also says one of the things that he hates most is the campaigning. We voted on the 9th of August. On the 11th of August, we were out campaigning.
Okay.
On top of cars all over the country. So a country with an economy the size of ours, using his own ones, if we cannot put politics aside immediately after elections and sit in offices behind desks to try and solve people's problems, then we are not likely to get out of the difficulties. So while I hear Kenyans are saying, akuje mwenyewe, akuje aseme, he's also saying, honestly, it's not the right thing to do all the time. But again, demand is there. How he handles it is upon him.
And don't you think as a party it is necessary for him to come and in good time for that matter? And also when you talk about it...
I don't think we are... I am not in a hurry.
There is no rush.
If he comes, I'm not in a rush.
Have you looked into the credentials like you rightfully say? Because then he has also been implicated or perhaps has been mentioned.
Remember, and he'll deal with that himself. Remember...
Mheshimiwa, are you not the one who's talking about this document here?
Just let me answer this.
On the question of integrity, okay?
You have, our law gives only 3 months to campaign. 3 months before elections.
So it's pretty much...
That is the time we are allowed to be campaigning. But look at this system that we have. From day one, it's been campaign. If you look at what was happening in the visits in Nairobi last week, what is that? Just campaigns.
But you also have been on the spotlight talking about Matiang'i. Is that not equivalent to campaigning?
Remember, I am in the opposition.
Okay. So you're allowed?
I am in the opposition. Okay. So I can play my opposition
your politics all
by
through.
Pointing out the difficulties. You who is in government should be seated in offices and sorting out the issues that we shoot them. But not on top of cars, driving and making the country, get the country frenzy with politics. Today, I'm told 7 days of campaigning in Mount Kenya. Nothing else. And if you are the one who is leading the country and you are telling us to start campaigning and it is you we want to remove, you just are inviting the whole country into a political mood.
But just how different is it with the Jubilee prior to the 2022 general election?
It was very different. The leader
you want to tell me that you people were not out there campaigning?
The leader of the Jubilee Party remained in office.
And you people were the ones,
He was insulted. He was told that the handshake with the Muchawi has made him crazy. You remember all those things?
Okay.
They were all said when he was in office.
But the campaign process started way earlier. And actually Kenyans were complaining about that.
By the same UDA team that is already campaigning.
That was part of the Jubilee team.
Yes. Okay. So that wing, and we're happy that it migrated.
Okay.
It is a very different group of people.
Okay.
When they were going around the country, Uhuru Kenyatta, our party leader, and Matiang'i, that time because Matiang'i was left in office assisting Uhuru, taking over really the duties of the deputy president, who did not even know which direction his office desk was facing. He never got to sit in that office. They were the ones who sat and came up with universal health care. And it was tried in Nyeri, Kisumu. You'll help me with the counties because you also know the towns.
The counties in this
Nyeri,
country.
Kisumu, Machakos, and Isiolo.
Yes.
Those were the pilot.
Of the universal health coverage.
And it worked.
Yes, it did.
They were going to roll it over to the other counties. What did the KK people do? They came and reversed it, and we went to this chicha thing that everybody is screaming about.
Okay.
Remember, talk about it, there was even the issue of Rida Mama, where it was now going to be a government position that no lady, no woman would want to deliver, would deliver somewhere which is not properly provided for, along the roads or even in dispensaries that are not well done.
Okay.
That worked. Today, done. We had something called Edu Afya, where every child in this country school going was provided with insurance cover. All that you needed to do as a teacher, whenever a child got unwell, was take her to hospital and the government would foot the bill. Remember, it is during those days when others were campaigning and Matiang'i and Uhuru were in office, where we got 100% transition in our education. Today, you know, by the way, do you know, and there's no law that has been changed.
And I want us to take a
before,
break.
let me say this. There's no way I can, I will not say this. The chiefs and the assistant chiefs were dreading the outcome of results. Why? Because it was their responsibility to ensure that every child
gets to school.
Goes to school. Today, we have 175,000 kids who dropped out of secondary school.
We still have a fair share of flaws that clouded the Jubilee Party and the Jubilee government.
But we are not in power now.
Why do you suppose that Kenyans will be convinced to have you back in power after this short break?
Well, they are going to make a choice. I'm not saying that that's why I'm pitching for it.
Okay, after this break.